Hello everybody, this is my Asus ROG Swift PG278Q gaming monitor that I will be doing kind of like a review, kind of like an overview on. This won't be really a review, but it'll be kind of more of like a overview, kind of just my thoughts on this. I've owned this monitor for about 10 months now, maybe 11 months even, and it's actually worked flawlessly for me so far, and I do have a collection of thoughts to give you on this. So to start off, it was about $650 from Amazon.com. I think the price was about the same off Newegg, but I had to grab it from Amazon instead. It's 27 inch, it's 1440p, that's 2560 by 1440, and its huge selling points are that it's 144 Hz, has a 1 millisecond response time, and it's G-Sync compatible. 1440p is a step above 1080, of course, but not quite at 4K. But I think it's perfect because 4K monitors of this size, usually the graphical elements are so small that they're very difficult to see, and 1080p looks nice but not super nice. So I think 1440p is like the perfect middle ground between the two. It's 144 Hz, so the refresh rate is really high. So basically, everything looks really smooth on this monitor, whereas with a 60 Hz monitor, it looks a lot choppier. I'm not sure if you can see the difference right there between those two movements, but one looks far smoother than the other. And it's got a 1 millisecond response time, which means that the pixels can change shade in 1 millisecond. I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that response time is measured by the amount of time it takes a pixel to go from white to gray to black to gray to white again, or something similar. So it can do a complete shade cycle within 1 millisecond, which is absolutely outstanding. So you get a lot less ghosting and stuff. If you use those old CRT monitors, you might notice that as you move the cursor around, there's a lot of ghosting behind the cursor. And the display latency seems incredibly low as well. When I'm playing games, I don't notice that it takes a while to display the image after you move the mouse or anything. So one of the big selling points is that it does have G-Sync. It's honestly something I don't use a whole lot. The entire point of G-Sync is to adapt the refresh rate of your monitor to be the same as the refresh rate as your graphics card. And that's really useful for people who would have this monitor who don't get a solid 144 plus FPS, because if you're only pumping out 60, let's say 68 FPS and your monitor's 144, it's going to be a little bit of inconsistency there, where the frames are being pumped out by your GPU are not hitting the monitor at the same rate as the monitor is displaying them. So you get some nasty things like screen tearing and stuff like that. And my thought on that is that I, in retrospect, would have liked to perhaps go to a monitor that didn't use G-Sync. I think an iteration of this monitor with the same specs, just without that G-Sync, would have cost a little bit less, because G-Sync actually requires hardware to be embedded into the monitor itself. So moving on, it's got a TN panel, and to my knowledge there's generally two kinds of panels in modern LCD displays. There's TN and there's IPS. TN has a lower display time, so it plops the image up a little bit faster, whereas IPS looks a little bit nicer, has wider viewing angles. But notice that the viewing angles to this monitor seem just fine as far as I can tell. The color's not changing as I go from side to side. I can see it just fine. And of course you do reap the benefits of having that decreased display time, so you're not waiting around an extra few milliseconds or however so long it takes for an IPS panel to display it. And also, I've noticed that the color on this monitor is fairly good. It's not the absolute best I've seen, but certainly not the worst. I think it's solid, good colors that come out of this monitor. So I am absolutely not disappointed with that, especially for a TN panel. The colors are 100% satisfactory in my mind. So as full adjustability, you can actually move it up and down quite a bit. And you can also rotate it 90 degrees in one direction, which is very nice for when you're trying to do programming and things of that nature. You could put it 90 degrees and use it lengthwise in kind of like portrait mode, so you can see a lot of lines of text on the screen at once. So these are the buttons on the side that you use to navigate the menus. You open up the menu by hitting this button right here, and you can navigate around by moving it in different directions. And then the other buttons are for selecting different options and different menus from within. It's kind of odd to get used to at first, but once you get a hang of it, it's actually pretty easy and breezy to get through it. I find myself very rarely actually using the menu, so even if they were to be horrible, it really wouldn't bother me much. So for ports, you've got the power, obviously, and then you have one single DisplayPort cable, and that's it. You don't have VGA or DVI or HDMI, because most of those ports are really not capable of transmitting the signal that this monitor really needs to shine properly. And then you've got a few USBs. That's the USB that goes between your PC and the monitor, of course, and those are the two USB 3.0 ports available right there. I usually just plug my phone's charger into that port so that I can just plug my phone in directly to the cable coming from under the monitor and import all my photos and videos and charge if I want. So that's very convenient. So overall, I'm really happy with this monitor. I think I did spend a few extra dollars I didn't really need to on the G-Sync functionality because I don't really use it a whole lot. But the other factors like the 144 Hertz, they're absolutely monumental. I think they help out a lot. The 1440p is beautiful, and the 1 millisecond input time spec is pretty good too. I used to use this old 1080p 60 Hertz monitor for gaming, and the difference between that thing and this thing are basically night and day. This one's just so much crisper and smoother, and the motion on it just looks so much more fluid and easy to follow. So some people online did report having issues with this monitor breaking a little bit. You can see the reviews are kind of like, a lot of 1 stars, a lot of 5 stars. I would definitely be one of the 5-star people. But if it breaks, that's why Asus has a warranty. I mean, this product is a very expensive piece of equipment. I'm sure they'd probably do a good job of replacing it if need be. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do feel free to like and even subscribe. If you have any questions, just post them down below and I'll get back to you.